Come along with me and embark on a fairy tale adventure about a young heroine destined to fulfill a prophecy. Filled with fantastical elements, interesting characters, sometimes challenging puzzles, absolutely beautiful voxel art, a wicked soundtrack, and many references to Alice in Wonderland, Ravenlock is a delightful, if rather simple, action RPG. Welcome on into my review of Coco Cucumber's newest game, Ravenlock. But before we get too far into the nitty-gritty of the game, let's very quickly get you some information about my review process. I played Ravenlock on my PC through the Epic Games Store. I was sent a code by the developer's PR team at no cost to me. As per the developer's suggestion, I played using an Xbox controller, though mouse and keyboard controls are available. Ravenlock took me about 6 hours to finish from beginning to end, though I did not complete all the collectibles, which I would imagine could take up to another hour or two, depending on how thorough you are in your regular gameplay. With all of that out of the way, let's move forward. Ravenlock, simply put, is a fairy tale reimagining of Alice's adventures in Wonderland. The game begins with the protagonist moving homes and helping her family get unpacked. Soon, you'll find yourself slipping through the looking glass and into a magical land known as the Realm of Dunia. It's filled with darkness and is cursed by the evil will of the Caterpillar Queen, who threatens destruction to all who stand in her path. As players begin their journey, they'll meet Finn, the White Rabbit, who tells you that you're Ravenlock, and it has been prophesied that you'll come and help free Dunia from the Caterpillar Queen. And that's pretty much it. There are a lot of different character interactions throughout the game, and most of them are, for lack of a better word, pretty cute and endearing. Ultimately, most conversations end up resulting in the fact that the land has been cursed and that they need you to help defeat the evil queen. But there isn't really a whole lot of plot development past that, and it's a pretty basic story with what seems to be minimal world building. But I will say that did not at all prevent me from enjoying the game. What's there is solid, and the real joy of Ravenlock, in my opinion, is simply playing the game. If you made it this far and you're still enjoying this review, I have a big favor to ask. Please subscribe. Subscribing helps the channel grow, and you can even be alerted to every video I post. Thanks in advance. The gameplay loop in Ravenlock is pretty simple. Your goal is to defeat the evil queen. In order to do that, you must gain entrance to her castle, which requires 3 tokens in order to unlock the gate. Of course, in order to obtain these tokens, you need to conduct various tasks and defeat enemies as you venture to different areas such as the Mushroom Forest, the Mask Mansion, you need to attend a tea party, explore the depths of the labyrinth, and a few more areas that I won't spoil for you. Along the way, there are non-playable characters around the world, and they'll ask you to do a variety of different things, such as clear the world of enemies, or take away blight that has inhabited the world, or perhaps repairing a broken mirror in order to progress. In some instances, you might even be asked for riddles or solving puzzles, and these puzzles are pretty few and far between, but the good thing is that they're pretty interesting, and they rely on either paying attention to the conversations and the items around you, rather than just sliding some pieces into place. Each one of the puzzles feels really satisfying and earned, rather than just straight up tedious or monotonous. Generally, just paying attention to the characters and doing what they ask you to do will help progress the story. Combat is a huge part of Ravenlock, and interestingly enough, I think it's simultaneously the best part and the worst part about the game. First, the good. Combat consists of about 5 things: slashing with your sword, blocking with your shield, using special abilities, using various types of bombs, and dashing. Dashing in this game is always good. In fact, since there's no cooldown on dashing, or sword swiping for that matter, I nearly always just use the dash mechanic just to move around the world on my way between different objectives. But at any rate, sword swiping feels very good and responsive, and since you can do it infinitely with no penalty, that's exactly what I did during almost every encounter. It's also incredibly effective, doing an immense amount of damage with every swipe, and with the ability to hit enemies near the specific one you're targeting. This is both a good and bad thing, because it's such an effective way to attack, I very rarely found myself using any other method. My strategy in almost every encounter was to simply spam the sword attack button until I was about to get hit, then dash away to safety at the last moment, and rarely did I get hit. Ravenlock does have the ability to block with her shield, but I found it to be somewhat less than effective in most instances, and completely useless in others. I'll very happily admit that this may have been a problem with me not getting the timing right, or just straight up misunderstanding how the mechanic worked. But with such good alternatives in swiping and dashing, I didn't really feel the desire or the need to get better at blocking. The special attacks and items, on the other hand, are pretty useful. By about 2/3 of the way through the game, Ravenlock will have unlocked 4 special abilities that do various types of attacks and do differing amounts of damage. Some of these are really good for crowd control, while others are best used when targeting a specific enemy. However, the lack of a lock-on system makes using certain abilities a gamble, as you never really know exactly if you're going to hit or not. The abilities also all have cooldown periods, meaning that sometimes you can gear up for a huge attack and completely miss just because you slightly weren't facing the exact right direction, or the enemy you were shooting for moved just a pixel out of the way. Bombs, on the other hand, though, they never miss. When you go to select them, gameplay freezes, and you can specifically target one enemy. If there's not an enemy within your range, the game won't even permit you to unleash the bomb. Some of these bombs will set enemies on fire, others freeze them, but all of them do at least a decent amount of damage. Regardless of my nitpicks with various parts of the systems, I still found Ravenlock's combat to be immensely satisfying and a huge part of the game for me. Being able to hit as much as you want to with the sword and dash away at a moment's notice just never got old. And the developers have said that they plan to keep improving the combat system after launch, which does give me hope that a few of my nitpicks and maybe some things that are just nice to have features will be addressed. Ravenlock is not really a terribly difficult game. I think all in all I died about 3 times, and one of those was because I entered a battle and got distracted by a text message. Another was because I severely underleveled myself and didn't realize it until I got to a boss. But if you're looking for upgrades, Decker is the solution to this problem. As you defeat the enemies, you'll earn a currency that allows you to upgrade Ravenlock to a higher set of stats. There are some enemies that are rather difficult to defeat without upgrading, so you want to make sure you do it whenever you can. The leveling system is incredibly simple though, which may be unappealing to some of you as you can't choose which things to really upgrade. However, since Ravenlock is a game that is made for all ages and most experience levels, it's nice to have a game where the entire leveling system pretty much consists of one button that might as well just say, get stronger. There are 2 types of collectibles in Ravenlock. One of these types is a variety of hats that can be found by either opening chests or by defeating enemies. They don't really provide any sort of advantage, they're just simply there to help you look cool. The other type of collectibles are bunny figurines. These figurines can be found around the world, and in order to collect them, Ravenlock has to stand in front of them and perform a little dance. These figurines can be turned in to get rewards, like health potions or bombs, and it'll help you along in combat. I got most of these collectibles pretty easily. The hats, just by playing the game, you pretty much get those through progress, and by being observant, you get the bunny figurines for the most part. There are obviously some I missed, and I didn't really go hunting for them either, but it seemed like they wouldn't be terribly hard to find. All in all, I'm really not much of a collectibles kind of player, but if you're going to include them in a game, in my opinion, this is a pretty good way to do it. Now, I can't believe I've gotten this far without talking about the visuals of the game, but it is absolutely beautiful. If you're a fan of Coco Cucumber's previous titles, Echo Generation or River Bond, then you're already acquainted with the voxel-style world they can craft and present. Everything is very much pixelated, but not in a way that is distracting or in a way that makes it feel like it's unworthy of your modern-day attention. Instead, the art style just pops off the screen with crazy colors and beautiful set pieces that really make the world feel alive. This is apparently the final game in what the developers are calling their Voxel trilogy. So I am really excited to see what they come up with next, because they obviously have some very gifted artists on the team. And much like the visuals, the music and sound in Ravenlock is also top-notch. Each piece of the soundtrack is beautifully crafted to fit the world in which it appears. The pace of the music somehow slides right into the voxel aesthetic without being chiptune or resembling something from the 8 or 16-bit eras of old. The dash and sword slash sound effects are over the top fun, and I found myself constantly being in awe of how well the music all just blended together from level to level during my playthrough. Ravenlock's technical performance, it's top notch. I was playing on my PC in 1440p with a 30 series card, and everything ran like a dream without a single drop frame or stutter. This isn't necessarily surprising since Ravenlock isn't exactly a resource-intensive game, but I can't imagine it would run poorly on any modern hardware, including consoles. The game is slated to release on the Xbox One as well, and though I don't have any reason to doubt it would run well there, I could see some loading times popping up that were non-existent when I played. I wouldn't hesitate to give it a go though. Ravenlock will release May 4th, 2023 for a price of $24.99 USD. It will release on Windows, on the Epic Games Store, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and most notably, it will be a day one release on Game Pass. Overall, I very heartily recommend Ravenlock to anyone who thinks the game looks appealing and isn't really expecting too much of a challenge. If you're a Game Pass subscriber, this is possibly one of the easiest recommendations for a 6-hour experience I've ever given for the service. It's fun, and it's endearing, and it's heartfelt. And despite my nitpicks and critiques, I did have a ton of fun with the game, and I certainly think it's a worthwhile endeavor for you. If you're not a Game Pass subscriber, I definitely think Ravenlock is worth the $25 price tag at release, but of course, use everything I've said here in this review to make that decision on your own. I really hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope that you'll give Ravenlock a try. It's not without its issues in a few small areas, but I think they're just easily overcome by its charm, its flawless performance, and frankly, its addicting gameplay loop. It will be sure to keep you entertained for a few evenings or over the weekend. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about Ravenlock in the comments, and we'll see you next time.